In 1964, youngster virtuoso Frank goes to the New York World's Reasonable to enter the creator's opposition. Judge Nix is really dazzled by forthcoming's model stream pack. Yet he rapidly adjusts his perspective when Plane admits the fly pack doesn't truly function admirably. Nix's associate Athena likes straightforward. Yet Nix actually doesn't permit him to participate in the challenge until the fly pack really works. Straightforward leaves completely crushed and can't resist the urge to ponder every one of the times his own father let him know he was simply burning through his time. Unexpectedly, he's drawn closer by Athena, who gives him an orange lapel pin with a blue T and requests that he follow her and Nix in secret. Nix and his gathering going on a well-known fascination, and the line is very lengthy. So Straightforward slips through the side and bounces into an unfilled boat. In the ride, a laser distinguishes Plane's pin and opens a secret entrance that brings the boat down a dim passage. A modern-looking cart shows up and Plane is glad to enter it. However, when he steps in, metal blinds block all entryways and windows, and the cart starts shaking like there's no tomorrow. Blunt tumbles to the floor and doesn't get to stand up until the cart stops. At the point when the entryways open, Forthcoming strides out and winds up on a stage encompassed by weighty mist. To his shock, a car capable of flying passes by, and he sees Athena with Nix inside. Candid attempts to pursue them, yet monster robots show up before him and attempt to stop him. The youngster goes around the stage attempting to avoid the automated arms and coincidentally falls on the stage beneath, making his stream pack break. A well-disposed robot shows up and snatches the stream pack to fix it prior to giving it back to Honest. Yet again at that point, a lot of gatekeepers make an appearance to catch Candid, so he steps away, falling. This time, however, he has his stream load with him. Accordingly, he puts it on in an exit, at long last getting to fly with it. Because of the robot's fixes, Honest flies through the haze and finds he's in Tomorrowland, a modern city loaded up with hands down the most splendid personalities. At the point when he sees Athena, Straightforward grounds close to her and takes the risk to show Nix that he's proper the stream pack. Nix overlooks him, however Athena grasps straight to the point's hand to show him what his life will resemble from this point forward. Years after the fact, in 2015, young Lady Casey slips in and NASA send off-site in Florida to undermine all the hardware that will be utilized for the destruction, since she doesn't need her father, who fills in as a NASA engineer, to lose his employment. Athena is watching everything from the shadows, and after Casey gets back, Athena utilizes a little scanner to get Casey's DNA from her bicycle protective cap and codes it into her last Tomorrowland pin. The following morning, Casey's father Eddie gets a call from work making sense of the circumstance. Casey believes she's saved his work. However, Eddie uncovers they'll bring substitution cranes, so Casey actually needs to quit attempting. Anyway, Casey reminds him keeping up trust is more significant. At night, Casey attempts to disrupt the destruction once more. However, this time the police are hanging tight for herself, and she gets captured. A few hours after the fact, somebody pays the bail, and Casey gets her effects to get back. Among everything, she tracks down the pin, and when she contacts it, she unexpectedly sees a dream of a better place. The pin falls, and when Casey contacts it once more, exactly the same thing occurs. The following time, Casey snatches the pin appropriately and ends up taking a gander at an enormous city somewhere far off. However, when she attempts to stroll to it, the pin falls and she is in prison again on the grounds that strolling made her knock against things and individuals in the room. To stay away from more difficulty, Casey gets the pin utilizing gum covering. At that point, Eddie makes an appearance to get Casey in the wake of paying the bail. Returning, he chides Casey for her activities, so she makes him contact the pin, promising it'll make sense of everything. Anyway, when Eddie contacts the pin, nothing occurs. Befuddled, Casey contacts the pin herself and shows up in the other world, arriving at the resolution this main works for her. Eddie becomes weary of Casey meandering aimlessly about the pin and removes it from her. At the point when they return home, Casey trusts that Eddie will not off to take the pin from his night table. When she contacts it, she shows up in the other world and, strolling toward the city, makes her knock against the walls of her home and even tumble down the steps. The commotion awakens Eddie, making Casey stow away and choose to do this elsewhere. Casey goes to the center of a gigantic field and contacts the pin, permitting her to show up in Tomorrowland at last. While taking the train to go further into the city, she finds the pin has a clock that is going down and that no one can see her. Casey leaves the train at the following stop, and she sees a few significant researchers entering an alternate sort of cart. She attempts to follow them. However, out of nowhere, water shows up around her on the grounds that the pin clock is going to arrive at nothing. Casey attempts to disregard it and pushes through the water, yet soon Tomorrowland vanishes, and Casey winds up in a bog. When she gets back, Casey awakens her sibling Nate and asks him for the secret word to their father's PC. The kin look for the pin on the web and find a promotion from a store that will purchase these pins from anybody. Casey records the shop address and requests that Nate tell their dad she's going setting up camp for certain companions. Toward the beginning of the day, Athena appears at the house, so Nate gives her the setting up camp reason. Athena can see he's lying and tensions him until he at last admits. In the meantime, Casey comes to the shop from the promotion. The eccentric representatives are obviously keen on it and affirm that what Casey saw was genuine. Tomorrowland is where every one of the most brilliant personalities accumulated to make openly without the chains of government and eagerness, and the best way to get to the city is through the pin. The representatives need to purchase the pin and to know where Casey got it. Yet when Casey will not participate, they press a button to lock the entryway and uncover a couple of modern weapons that can shoot plasma. Casey attempts to tuck away among the product, however the representatives find her at any rate and request data on some young lady. Out of nowhere, an explosive gets through the window and freezes the representatives inside a power field. A furnished Athena enters the shop as well and makes sense of it's a delayed bomb that won't keep going long, then assists Casey with getting her hand out of the field. Tragically, this makes the bomb shut off and the assistants are free once more, so they counter-assault. Athena battles them hand-to-hand with the assistance of Casey tossing stock at them, and when Athena eliminates one of their heads, Casey is stunned to find the two assistants were animatronics. In the wake of reporting the animatronics are going to fall to pieces, Athena hauls Casey out of the shop with perfect timing to stay away from the blast. Then Athena tears a vehicle window to open it and pushes Casey inside prior to utilizing an extraordinary device to make the vehicle start. As she makes sense of they need to escape previously, they track down them. Out and about, Casey starts seeking clarification on some pressing issues, and Athena tells her she was the one that gave her the pin. Before she can say more, she abruptly starts breaking down, and Casey watches with dismay how Athena fixes herself, since she's an animatronic also. Terrified, Casey leaps out of the vehicle, and Athena attempts to follow her. However, when she steps out and about, a truck hits her. The driver promptly comes to beware of her, and Casey takes the risk to take the truck to get away. Anyway, Athena is okay and promptly pursues the truck, going through the window to take the keys and lock the entryway. Casey starts hollering, and Athena at long last figures out how to quiet her down by adjusting Casey is her last pin, and they need to rapidly go to Tomorrowland in light of the fact that they fabricated something they shouldn't have. In the interim, the police show up at the detonated store and find a consumed robot head. Before they can explore more, a man named Dave appears, presenting himself as Mystery Administration. In the wake of seeing the robot head, Dave likewise takes out a cutting-edge weapon and kills every one of the police prior to going to his friends, reporting they found the young lady and they ought to tell Nix. The young ladies are advancing toward New York to find the main individual that can get them back into Tomorrowland. Casey starts posing inquiries about the others that got pins, yet Athena can't reply and closes down. The following morning, Athena awakens and assumes control over the driving, so Casey can rest. Athena lets Casey know that the individual they'll visit is called Blunt, and when Casey nods off, Athena keeps herself engaged by recalling every one of the great times she used to have with her companion. Hours after the fact, Casey awakens when she's out of nowhere driven over the truck before a house in the open country. Considering to be Athena's heading out, Casey must choose the option to move toward the house, just to be pursued by a watchman canine. Casey excursions and falls on the mud, which causes her to understand the canine isn't leaving prints since it's a 3D image. Disregarding the phony monster, Casey thumps on the entryway and shows her pin to the camera, requesting to be taken to Tomorrowland. An unexpected eruption of air pushes Casey back, and a more seasoned Blunt emerges from the house, requesting to know where Athena is. Hearing she's gone irritates Straightforward, and he advises Casey to leave in light of the fact that Tomorrowland is only a manipulative falsehood. Then, at that point, forthcoming revisitations of his home unlocks the entryway. Casey will not leave and holds up external even while it downpours. At last, she gets worn out and glances around to make an arrangement. By lighting a fire on the furrowing truck, Casey gets straight to the point to take off from the house, and keeping in mind that he's too bustling putting the flares out, Casey runs inside and locks the entryway. At the point when Straightforward attempts to enter once more, Casey simply pushes him back with a similar eruption of air. Casey starts checking out the house, tracking down a wide range of insane innovations. One specific machine plays a record of minimal straight to the point, attempting to make Athena giggle, and Athena advising him to quit attempting. In another room, she finds a lot of screens staying aware of the news and a clock that is gradually going down. Unexpectedly, a mysterious entryway under the steps opens, and Straight to the Point gets once more into the house, prepared to throw Casey out. However, she persuades him to offer her a few responses. Straightforward was removed from Tomorrowland for building something he shouldn't have, which is the clock associated with the screens. He contemplates whether Casey would need to know the date of her demise, and she says okay. However, tolerating her passing may really cause it, so she might have a hard time believing it. since they should have the option to make their own predetermination. This assertion makes the rate on the screen fall, which enormously dazzles Blunt. Their discussion is unexpectedly hindered by the appearance of Dave and his representatives, who are really robots searching for Casey. Honest promptly initiates every one of the metal blinds, and when one robot utilizes her solidarity to get inside at any rate, Frank purposes an instrument to shock her. One more robot is obliterated by an electrical snare on the wall, and Blunt disposes of two more by making them fall through a mystery hidden entryway. Then Forthcoming and Casey hurry to the parlor, where another robot is pausing. Honest battles it hand to hand, and Casey assists him with winning by getting an extraordinary entryway machine and staying the robot inside. The couple advances higher up, where more robots fall into the various snares around the house, until Dave makes up for lost time to them and holds straight to the point at gunpoint. Fortunately, Casey tracks down a bat and uses it to pummel Dave into a bloody mess. Straightforward then hauls Casey into the restroom, and they bounce into the tub, which Candid initiates to change it into a container. Another robot comes after them and attempts to snatch the tub, yet at that point Blunt send-offs it, making the case fly out and arrive on the lake. Straight to the point, and Casey swim out and enter the forest, where Plane has stowed away a bicycle that won't begin. The team is unexpectedly frightened by a light moving toward them, however Athena came to get them. The threesome leaves in the truck, and when they hit the road, Blunt and Athena start contending. It's uncovered that all pins should be obliterated, and Athena got away with the last box of 12 to continue to enlist individuals. Straight to the point is incensed that more youngsters have been hauled into this, and tells Casey that Athena lied. She doesn't close down, assuming you pose such a large number of inquiries. It's simply her disregarding you. Blunt thinks Athena sets up counterfeit feelings to bait you in and leave you later. Athena is harmed yet disregards it for the time being to take them to the neighborhood station where Candid has introduced his mystery network that communicates to his home. There's another container hanging tight for them, and when the people are wearing the legitimate insurance, they enact the framework that magically transports them away. When they show up, Casey finds they're at the highest point of the Eiffel pinnacle. There's a gatekeeper close to the entryway. However, fortunately Honest has gotten a lot of developments his sack, including a little instrument that permits Casey to take the watchman out with only a light tap. They go into a room with a presentation with well-known innovators, and Candid makes sense of that Eiffel, Verne, Tesla, and Edison were the ones that began Tomorrowland by utilizing the Eiffel pinnacle as a receiving wire that took them to the next world. There have forever been gossipy tidbits about a mystery entrance, and subsequent to looking around, Straightforward initiates it. This causes the Eiffel pinnacle to part into two and uncover a rocket, so the threesome rushes inside as additional robots show up to catch them. The energy that the rocket removes while removing off pushes the robots, and subsequent to flying up for some time, the robot returns once more, opening an entrance as it falls at an extraordinary speed. Minutes after the fact, the gathering shows up in Tomorrowland. The specialists saw them fall and are coming after them, so Forthcoming makes Athena conceal an exceptional bomb he carried with him inside her body. The first to meet them is Nix, the city lead representative, who needs to capture them. Blunt and Athena rapidly alter his perspective by illuminating him. Casey was equipped for bringing down the rate on the screens. Stunned, Nix takes the triplet to the central command where they keep Frank's hazardous innovation, called a Tachian machine. At the point when they take the lift, Casey witnesses visualizations which to be glimmers representing things to come, brought about by the machine that uses a molecule that moves fundamentally quicker than light. The gathering enters the focal point of the machine, and Plane shows Casey how to utilize it, permitting her to check out any time in mankind's set of experiences. Casey is stunned to see herself in her home a couple of mornings prior, and Forthcoming makes sense of the machine can likewise look forward. So Casey starts going through history at a rapid until she at long last sees the issue. The machine has anticipated that in 58 days, the world will end. Casey doesn't have the foggiest idea why they aren't cautioning individuals on the planet, and Nix makes sense if he doesn't mind, since that is the world that will end, not Tomorrowland. Also, he will not permit anybody to move in on the grounds that they'll do to Tomorrowland exactly the same thing they did to Earth. Casey will not acknowledge this, and her disposition makes the screen glint briefly, showing a superior world. Honest attempts to bring up this demonstrates there's an opportunity. However, Nix simply thumps them full scale. Minutes after the fact, Frank awakens and finds Athena letting them know they'll be expelled once more. Casey is discouraged on the grounds that this entire experience has been in vain, and when Straightforward attempts to comfort her, she snaps, blaming them for deceiving her. As she blusters, she out of nowhere has a snapshot of acknowledgement. Honest has been pilfering the machine sign to watch it at his home, and the sign is drifting around Earth, destroying these thoughts of destruction into individuals' psyches. It's an inevitable outcome. However, in the event that Casey could transform it with her hopefulness, it implies that switching it off would permit individuals to see the light once more. The watchmen come to get the threesome so they can be removed from Tomorrowland through an entrance. Casey attempts to educate Nix concerning her disclosure and requests that he switch off the machine, However, Nix says there's no off button. His quiet mentality causes Forthcoming to understand reality. Nix is placing the thought in individuals' minds deliberately. Nix makes sense of that before, attempting to enlighten the public authority concerning the approaching destruction was overlooked. In this manner, he sent the thought straightforwardly to individuals' heads, as an advance notice to make them impact their methodologies. Anyway, as opposed to working for a superior future, humankind acknowledged the apocalypse as inescapable. As Nix would see it, it isn't the machine's shortcoming. Mankind has carried this to itself. Forthcoming claims to acknowledge this and warmly greets Nix. However, just to contact his wristband and begin the machine stage once more. Athena and Casey take out the gatekeepers, while Frank battles Nix, who initiates 2 robots to pursue the young ladies. Plane requests that Athena utilize the bomb he gave her. Yet when Athena attempts to, the robots get her. Athena passes the bomb to Casey while she battles the robots, and Casey rushes to the stage. What starts moving like insane, in light of the fact that Candid and Nix continue to battle about the wristband on the opposite side of the entry. Athena oversees one of the robots and utilizations it to push the other one through the entry, making it assault Nix as well. Casey figures out how to initiate the bomb by watching a glimmer representing things to come. Yet when she's going to toss it, Nix recovers control of the wristband and hauls the stage down. Athena hurries to get the stage with her robot, then, at that point, rushes to the control board to close the entry, obliterating the subsequent robot and leaving Honest and Nix outside. At that point, Casey finds the bomb, which is going to detonate. Athena must choose the option to open the entry once more, and when the men run back inside, they toss the bomb into the gateway, so it can detonate away from them. The entry breaks and falls on top of Nix, catching him. Anyway, there's a weapon close by that he arrives at to kill Forthcoming. Athena sees straightforward kicking the bucket and understands it's a blaze from the future, so she rushes to put herself among Honest and the shot. Casey takes the weapon from Nix and straightforward attempts to take Athena to a mechanic's shop. However, Athena requests that he stop since there isn't sufficient opportunity. Before she kicked the bucket, she really wants Plane to know something vital, and she continues to play a progression of accounts from the time they spent together such a long time prior. Minimal Candid used to have eyes only for Athena, yet he was harmed when he understood she was a machine. This generally annoyed Athena, and she kept voice journals that depicted how straight to the point affected her things that robots shouldn't. Straight to the point is delighted to hear Athena loved him as well, and that she believed constantly in him, so presently it's the ideal opportunity for Athena to go. Her body is going to fall to pieces, and she believes them should utilize that blast to stop the machine. Frank purposes a stream pack to fly Athena up, and after they say their farewells, Athena is dropped inside the machine. The entire design detonates and the trash falls on Nix, killing him. Tomorrowland loses its power and Candid attempts to keep control of the fly pack to basically land securely in the stream. Casey hurries to keep an eye on him, and as they start discussing what to do straight away, a lot of glimmers from what's to come gives them a thought. First, Frank fixes the gateway so Casey can rejoin with her loved ones. Then together they start dealing with restarting the PIN program, for which they construct a lot of robots like Athena. These robots utilize an entryway to travel all around the world and leave pins for the brilliant personalities that might be useful to them, make a superior future for Earth.